Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to the Advisor Advantage with James Murphy. We are here with an amazing person today. We are all in for a treat. Please meet the lovely Carmen Petruzzelli-McCann.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
You are with Exit Realty.
Yes.
Tell me, why Exit Realty?
So my friend was actually working there and she told me about Exit. It was the only office that I interviewed with. And whenever like new realtor comes on, I always tell them like interview with like so many like companies to
Mhm.
like, find your best fit. But Exit to me is like a family, they're so easy to work with. Like everyone's like for each other. Like we all work together.
Mhm.
And I really love it there. It's a great company.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great piece about Exit. Tell us about yourself, Carmen. Who
Um,
are you, Carmen? What do you do for a living? Now that we spoil
yeah.
alert, we already told you, all right? And why do you do it so well?
Yeah. So my name is Carmen. I'm from Atlantic Highlands, New
Whoop.
Jersey. Yeah.
Atlantic Islands.
So I actually started my career in baking. I own Glenda's Kitchen and we still like kind of keep it alive. But when I had kids, I figured real estate was a good mom job. And I was like, let me try this out. But I kind of just fell into it. I got really lucky my first year and I had, all my clients were families. So I learned so much that first year and I had about like 8 closings in my first year. And it was just, I kind of fell into it and I love it. I love what I do. I got my interior design license from it because I just want to learn more. And, I love houses. And it's just, I'm so happy I fell into this.
Yeah. Well, that kind of passion, I'm sure, carries over into your profession.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So do you ever see your buyers or your sellers, for that matter, just do they notice your passion? Do they comment on it? Because we've been speaking for not even that long, and I can already feel it
Yeah, yeah.
just by talking to you.
I have a lot of my clients are always like, like you're so passionate about this, or like, I'm always just like on top of it too. Like, my clients call me, I answer it. Like my friends call me, I'm like, give me a day or two,
Right.
like I'll call you back.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I love it so much, and like I think it does. Like I think my work shows, and I think they really appreciate that too, because there's a lot of like realtors out there too that don't like, they're so busy that like they like things kind of like slip through the cracks, and
Yeah.
I try to stay on top of it as best as I can.
You said you're a new mom.
Yes.
How many children?
2.
2 children. God
2 under
bless you.
2.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you juggle Glenda's Kitchen, children, and being a real estate professional?
No sleep.
No sleep. Listen, sleep's overrated.
Yeah,
I
it's
swear.
overrated. Sleep
Right.
when you're dead.
That's what I mean. You don't got time for that.
Yeah. No, it's I'm very lucky. I have a great support system, which I feel like everyone needs. My mother-in-law will watch the kids. My mother will watch the kids. My husband gets home at 2. So
That's great.
yeah, so I have the time. So a lot of people always say that too, like, oh, you have kids and like you have a business. And it's like, I can do it.
Right.
Call me.
Let me show you how
Yeah.
I do it.
Yeah.
So to any of these buyers out there, we this show targets first-time home buyers. We've got a prime focus on your Gen Z, millennial type buyers that are, believe it or not, some of them out there have no idea what this process is all about, right?
Yeah.
I've talked to plenty of buyers that didn't even know you could put less than 20% down.
Right.
So I find education is key when you're dealing with a brand new buyer, because let's face it, we don't know what we don't know until
Right.
we find out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's so many things like to go over, but I mean, the first thing I think is like never settle. And I think, a lot of realtors can be pushy with that because like that's how we're making our money really.
Right.
But, like I was just on the phone call with someone on the way here and I was like, he asked me, he's like, is it a good time to buy? I'm like, it's never really like a wrong time to buy,
Right.
like it depends, like, are you in a rush? Are you not in a rush? But just don't settle because like, you're going to be married to this house for how long,
Right.
and like, you got to love it. So, and I think a lot of times they feel pressure and everything. And like, it's a crazy process and
Right.
it's a very stressful process and it's
Right.
hard, but just don't
No.
settle.
And I mean, especially like right now, right?
Mhm.
In 2023, in Monmouth County, the market that we're in, I mean, it is so hard to get
Yeah.
a house.
Yeah.
I mean, with the inventory shortage,
It's
with
terrible.
the interest rate hikes that we've had over the last year or so, and I am optimistic, among others, that we are going to see interest rates come down.
Yeah.
As long as inflation comes down, as it has been, it continues to do so,
Mhm.
we'll have a decent summer, I think.
Yes.
Um,
So.
but it's one of those things where it's such a challenge that I find so many buyers just throw in the towel,
Yep.
give up,
Yeah.
and I think that meant that that idea of staying patient and staying committed
Yeah.
is so crucial.
It is. The right house is out there for you. Like it's
It
out there
is.
for everyone. It's like you just gotta find the right realtor.
She's natural. She's natural, this camera. That's awesome. So how would you give a first-time homebuyer an advantage? So with these challenges, as professionals,
Mhm.
our job is to give our clients a little bit of an edge, right? A little bit of an advantage in this market, because you're going into these bidding wars, right? With, 10, 20, 30 to 1, on these
Yeah.
offers. So any suggestions? In the past we've heard, other professionals say stuff like stay prepared and be ahead of it and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. What can you add to that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is just like be prepared, like know what you're looking for and like know exactly what you want in a house. And like that's one thing like to go over with your real estate agents, like what are your wants, what are your needs, like, what are your I can't live without. And
Hmm.
there's so many different like tactics that we can go over. Like there's things like waiving like an appraisal or waiving things like like some things sometimes you don't want to waive an appraisal,
Right.
especially like in this market right now.
Right.
Like there's inspections that you can go over, like waiving some things with that. But there's so many different, you know, things that like you can do, and like every deal is different. So, but yeah, definitely just be prepared and
Hmm.
know what you're getting into. So, and like talking to a realtor, like someone like you, is like the best thing I think they can do.
Well,
Yeah.
me specifically, I think, if we're really being honest out there, I think that's the real advantage,
Yeah.
myself. Just kidding. So I mean, I heard an interesting fact the other day.
Mhm.
It was what was it? It was we just crossed over 50% of millennials owning homes,
Wow.
which is crazy when you think about. I mean, millennials goes from, it's like, I forget what is the actual age, like 1990 89 to 96 or something, or
Hmm.
wherever it is. It's a huge
Right.
demographic of
Yeah.
people. Um, and also, I think 40% greater wealth for those that own home over their 5-year period of time than those that rent.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
If you think about it, and that has to do with compounding, appreciation, and all that good stuff, and buying down principal. But why wouldn't everybody own a home?
Right. I know.
You know,
It's like so hard to say,
it is hard. I mean, there's stress, there's
Mhm.
pressure, but
Yeah.
to build future wealth, I just
Right.
don't know.
Equity, like everything. Yeah.
Any
I
idea why someone would not buy a house?
I think they're afraid. Like I think like it's a big commitment. It's a lot of work, and I don't think they realize the benefits of owning a home. Really, like
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people like kids and teenagers like they start off renting and they're like this is easy, like I don't have
Right.
to do anything,
Right.
and like but now even with like the rent skyrocketing, like it's not like I feel like in your best interest to be like throwing that money away. I mean, like,
Right.
hey, like there's something for everyone,
Right.
like not that's to say that renting's like wrong, but like I just feel like when you own a home, you're building equity, like you'll make your money back,
Right.
eventually, like, like and it's gonna be hard and it's a lot of work, but I think they're just scared, it's a big commitment.
It
It's
is.
scary.
And it's that unknown. I think that's
Yeah.
that's really what drives fear.
Yep.
I think it's the unknown. It's the, we were joking about, talking, in front of the camera and without the camera,
Yeah.
right? Like, what's the difference, right?
Right.
And that difference is always like, whoa, somebody's gonna watch this,
Yeah.
and now I'm gonna be on the internet, and like, oh my god, right? But it is that, it's
Yeah.
that fear, it's that unknown. I
It
think
is.
is what derails that
Yeah.
mentality, that conversation. Um, but that's our job.
Right.
And I always say that that's our job, to try and educate and inform and comfort our first time home
Absolutely.
buyers.
Yeah.
So speaking of your job,
Mhm.
what would you say is the best what is the best business practice you do in your career?
I do a lot of affirmations like in the
Okay.
morning. Yeah, like I like try to consider myself part of like the 5 a.m. club, but
Okay.
maybe more like 5:36.
5:15-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I wake up, I like try to do any kind of workout I can do, and then like I just like to do my affirmations and like think of like my blessings every day, and I'm like okay, and like I try to think of like new blessings at least every day, which is very hard. Like, you know, you like do your top like 10.
Right.
Like think of top 10 blessings. I mean, like one of mine, like the other day was like coffee. Like, you know, I'm like,
Seriously.
Yes. Like coffee is a blessing.
Right.
So
can you imagine not having coffee in your morning?
I brought a coffee to the office today.
If I could carry IV drip like with a little coffee or caffeine, I probably would.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I think affirmations are like, I just think they're great for everyone. Like, not even just like for my business. It's just for when you wake up in the morning, like what you're grateful for, your blessings, and like how you're going to go about your day. Like, if you have structure and a plan, that's when you know you're going to succeed.
I love it. And then that positive mentality. I mean, let's just face it. No, for those who haven't noticed yet, Carmen is one of the most positive people I've ever known. And now I'm starting to see a little bit more as to why, right? You know, acknowledging your blessings, living a life of gratitude, you know, starting each day with gratitude is huge. And then you're kicking those endorphins in.
Oh, yeah.
Getting all that good stuff going, right?
You get excited. You like amp yourself up. You're like, yeah, it's a good day. Like
7 o'clock, others are like, oh my God, what is that? You're like, let's go. What is happening? You are taking too long to get this day going, which I think is fantastic. Yeah. I always like to think of those positive moments in life, right? But let's face it, we don't always have positive transactions.
Yes. Oh, so, yeah, of course.
I want to talk to you about two sorts of transactions, just to hear the stories that are involved, because I'm always interested. So first, let's start with your first transaction in the business. Do you remember it?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, it was wild. It was actually my brother-in-law. So again, like my whole family, I swear, everyone was buying a house or selling something. So I got so lucky, and like I just kind of fell into it, which was great. Like, and it motivated me because I'm like, this is great. Like, you know,
this job's easy. I love this.
It was great. But it was my brother-in-law's, and it was like in like the height of the market. You know, we probably looked at over like 40 houses. And it was like midnight. He texted me and he was like, I want to see this house tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, I'll set it up first thing in the morning. So like I actually texted the realtor that night, and I'm like, I'm so sorry it's so late, but can we please see this? And like
at midnight?
Yeah, it was at midnight. I'm like, I'm working all the time.
Hey, listen, you're a hustler. You gotta hustle. You gotta grind.
You do. Okay? You do. Yeah, so I mean, 40 houses later, we go see this one house, and we were like the only showing. And she ended up like, it was like a blessing. Like this woman was like, okay, I was like, if we make this deal, I was like, and this was like my first deal. And I'm like acting like I've done like 40.
That's it. Act as if or something.
Yeah, I'm like,
say,
I know
right?
what I'm doing. Like, this is easy. So I was like, will you stop all showings? And like somehow like we did a drive-by like after, when was it? We went to the house, and then I was like, let's just take like a walk around the neighborhood. And then the owners were there later. So it was like, go talk to them, please. Like, you know, like, and it gives you like, you know, like to put like that connection together, you know, I probably shouldn't have been saying that on camera, but it's okay.
Nobody's watching.
No one's watching.
Fine. Nobody's watching the show. No, it's fine.
But yeah, so they spoke to them, and then like they told the realtor we want to stop all showings, and they fell in love with my clients, which was my brother-in-law. Yeah. And they got the house. Yeah. So it was great. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like it was so great.
that connection is so clutch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many clients do we have where we're writing letters, or they're writing letters rather?
Yes.
And you know, I've got so many clients that are like, hey, I want to submit this letter. Will you take a look at it? I'm like, afterwards, I'm like,
I know.
Are you like, at my house? This is, I love your story. I know. Can I meet your daughter? Yeah. This is beautiful. And your puppy, I love it. Yeah, like sometimes you hear that, you know, just the personal story.
Yes.
Just provides that connection. It does. That allows people to want to say, this is my person.
Absolutely.
Because let's face it, when you're selling or buying, for the most part, it's all emotion.
Oh,
right? So even just from the seller's perspective, like when I think about having to sell my house, which I don't expect to ever or intend to ever sell my house. Always be selling. I love this. Just the mere thought of it is like, you know, my daughter took her first step here. Grace did this here, or you know, James he hurt himself in this section of the house and that section. Oh, there's that section too. And then, you know, all these
connection.
Yes.
Like emotionally.
And then it's like that thought of somebody else living there really makes you think of, who do you want to live there?
Right.
Like, I'm going to want somebody that's going to appreciate what I love about this house and not change what I'd
And that's what the seller said too. You know, they were like, we had all 4 kids in this house, you know, and they were just downsizing really. And you know, they wrote a letter and they told them to, like, we want to start our family here. Like, we want to live here forever. Like, this is our forever home, you know? And it was all true, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta, like, butter them up a little bit. But
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. There's sometimes that we help out with some letters, right? Where I'm like, okie dokie. I'm going to hold on to this for a minute, and I'm going to send you back an edit. Tell me if it's true.
Yeah.
You know, ish, true-ish. Like, you tell me if this fits. This is how I read this letter, right? Because, you know, and this is an advantage right here that we're giving the audience. Like, this idea of the letter, for those who didn't know, is clutch, right? And then there's other professionals out there like, doing that for years, son. You're like, duh. But, you know, we're not talking to you. We're talking to those that don't know about this stuff. But definitely an advantage when you're going in among others that are looking, you know, to get the house for you. Absolutely. Now that's the fun part. Let's have more fun, and let's talk about your craziest transaction. Can you think of one?
Yes.
Yeah,
I can.
We're gonna leave names out of this one.
Yes, we're leaving
just
names
in
out of
case.
it. I mean, they'll know exactly who they are when I'm like talking about it. But
just don't tell them we're airing.
No, I won't. But so this one house, it was a beautiful house. Great property, like 2.5 acres. Like, it was in Atlantic Highlands, like technically Middletown, but Atlantic Highlands mailing. And we were at closing, and we found out there was another tax ID on, like, another deed on the house. Yeah. So, you know, and I'm just there for moral support. I'm just like, come on, guys, this is great. Like,
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
More the better.
So I'm just sitting there, and then they're like going over the numbers, and then they're like, what's going on? And they're like, it was like an additional like $6,000 like added to their taxes, that's huge, you know?
Especially
and,
out of nowhere when you don't expect anything like that.
Yeah. So, and I did like an open request. I did everything. Like, I always do that for all my clients. Like, I make sure like we know everything. There's no open permits, like everything about this house. And the only way I would have been able to figure this out is if I like search the surrounding lots. But like, who does that? You know, I do now. Like,
and that's how we learn in this business.
Yeah. I mean, like, still no one does that, but so we almost didn't close, and it got to the point where like, so the sellers were calling me too, which is like kind of frowned upon. Like, you don't really communicate with like the sellers, but they were like, listen, like, our realtor is ghosting us. Like, we don't know where she is. And so I was kind of like acting on both like parts. And so I called the seller, and I was like, hey, and she's like, hey, how's closing? Like, how's it going? And I'm like, we didn't close. And she was like, what? And I was like, well, we found out there was like a whole nother property attached to like your property. And she was like, I know. And I'm like, you know? And she said the realtor said it would come out later. And it came out later, and it came out in closing.
The most inopportune moment later.
So that was probably the most craziest one. But I mean, they figured it out, and you know, it just kind of, we ended up merging the properties. Like, we had to do it like later on. For some reason, like the township wouldn't do it until July. We were closing, I think, in I don't know, May or something like that. But so they never merged the properties. That was like the whole thing. So there was a completely different like deed on the property, and it was crazy, and I felt really bad. But it was nothing I could do.
No, but I think you did what you could do.
I did, yes.
At that moment, your ability to help is very narrow and limited, right?
Yeah.
But you do what you can do.
Right, exactly. And like, I call my broker, I'm like, what should I have done? And he's like, there's like nothing you could do. Like, this is like, like they should have disclosed this information to you, you know? And but
introduce that buyer to a good attorney. For selling for something later on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we talk about emotions, and clearly these are two polar opposite types of transactions. How did you juggle the emotions differently on each of those?
So this was like a good friend of mine too. So it was like, you know,
even more pressure.
Yeah. So like, and especially I feel like too with my friends, like I really like work not harder, but like I really do work hard for them because I want them to know like I am here for you. I am serious. Like, you know, I am your guy, you know, like if you need anything like day or night, call me.
Yep.
So it was tough, you know, and like, you know, it was just, we got through it, you know, and like, I like did everything I could to make it right for them. Like, I was like, if there's anything I could do, anything I can help you with. And, you know, I had like, it's business, you know,
it's business, and these things happen in this business. This is, we were talking earlier, and one of the things you talked about is when you're in this industry, you are not only a professional real estate pro, but you are literally, you become, if you're not, a professional problem solver.
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you're always learning something. As you learned about, now you check surrounding lots and surrounding
Oh yeah.
areas, and we learn that because we go through so much
Mhm.
stuff, and we have to solve these problems. And for me, that might be the best part. That's one of the things I love most about this job.
Yeah.
Is there's never a dull moment.
Oh no. And
You
every
know?
deal's different, which is great. It's not like a monotonous thing. Like you're
Right.
just like everything's different and like it's great. Like and that's what I love about it too. Like
Right.
and I love going to houses. It's like fun for me.
Yeah.
Like I like enjoy my job.
Right. It's fun, but then
Yeah.
it could also, that very same thing could be what we don't love about this.
Right.
Right. It was like,
Oh,
oh my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
what do you mean this
Yep.
is happening?
Yep.
And I don't know. I guess that's what makes it interesting. And I always joke where you're on the real estate side, right? I'm on the mortgage side.
Mhm.
And you get to be all emotional, and you get to show them, like, here's the beautiful house, and
Yeah.
go through the memory, like, here's where you're gonna have your children or you're gonna play, and oh, by the way, talk to James and
Figure
find
it
out how much it's gonna cost you.
Yeah.
And just see how it goes. And then I had to get on the phone with them, and they're like, oh wow,
We hate you.
I really liked you at first.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had no idea the rates
Yeah.
were that high, and or the payment was gonna be that. But
you're so good at like working with people too and like making them feel comfortable and knowing like like you show them like yeah.
it doesn't have to always be that way, and I thank
Yeah.
you for saying that.
Yeah,
Because we do our best, and we focus
Yeah.
on making people feel comfortable and confident.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
And they have to, especially in this process.
They have to.
Yeah.
I think we've alluded to this almost several times already in this conversation, but one of the other questions we tend to ask here is, why would someone work with you, Carmen, over anybody else?
So I'm definitely like I'm a hard worker. Like I'm a hustler. I am like when I have my clients, I am here for you. I've been in this industry for so many years, not just in like as an agent, but like just in the industry. Like my family owns a construction company for over 40 plus years. I have an extensive list of contacts, like buying or selling. Like, I can get you like where you need to be. I have a local business as well. Like, so even like my interior design license, like that helps me communicate with like the right people and like, just like target like who you need to be with, So
Mhm.
I feel like I have a lot of like, unique aspects about like myself.
You're bringing a lot to the table here.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end here.
Okay.
And before we get into my favorite part of this
Mhm.
show, which is where we get into this piece of pie, and it really is going to only make me salivate thinking of your apple pie that we've had. Because if you haven't had Glenda's Kitchen's apple pie, the gluten-free pie for that matter, wow,
It's really
that's all we're gonna say. Is, wow. All right. But what is the best piece of advice that you could give a buyer in this market, as well as a seller? Two separate pieces of advice.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, like, don't settle. Like, it's
Mhm.
just that's like I feel like my main thing with people, like, be patient. Know, like, just do research, like, and talk to your realtor, talk to like your mortgage broker. Like, you need to know like what you can afford. Like, get pre-qualified. Like, make yourself serious. Like when you're going in, like, and I've had people like tell me like, oh, I bought a house, like I don't need to get pre-qualified yet. And I'm like, no, you do. Like, because when you put that offer in and you don't have your like anything, like they're not taking you seriously,
Right.
So just like do your research a little bit, but talk to me, talk to Jimmy, like, like we're here to help. So I think the best advice really is to work with a professional. Like I think
Yeah.
really it goes a long way.
And you could say that for both seller and buyer. Right?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Right? 'Cause have you seen many uber successful for sale by owners?
No, I put my house on for sale by owner and I wasn't successful. Like,
Now that is a testimony in itself. And
I was
actually
like, what the hell? Like
hilarious, right?
I know. Cause like you can't like as like a realtor, like I can market to so many different avenues. But
Right.
as like just me, like, I'm like Facebook, Instagram, but like yeah, there's not much like I mean, as once I listed it, like forget
Yeah.
about it. Like we sold it. Like and I actually sold it to one of my clients.
That is hysterical.
Yeah.
Well, on that good front, we are going to go into what I call a parting piece of pie. Now, a parting piece of pie is my favorite. This is where pie is an acronym. I'm an acronym freak. I always
Okay,
tell people that. Pie stands for something profound,
Mm-hmm.
something inspiring, or something entertaining.
Okay.
So here's your chance to have fun with this one.
Okay.
Give us, the audience and myself, something that's profound, blow our mind, something inspiring that's just going to make us feel like, wow, like maybe something you've spoken about or read in one of your affirmations, or something just that's mere entertaining, like that joke you told earlier of why the chicken crossed the road, which is hysterical.
I don't know.
Why did the chicken cross the road again?
Because.
That's
Oh my god.
that's fantastic.
Is that the entertaining one?
No, you could get off that
Okay.
easy if you want. I mean, listen, we're all watching.
Yeah.
If that's the route you want to take, I feel like you gotta try harder than that. But
okay, yeah, just to always like be like inspired. Like I feel like just never. I don't know. I don't want to be corny, but
feel
never
like
give up. Like
never.
like,
You can do it.
You can. Like you always can. Like I always just like believe in yourself. You know, I really am like. I know that sounds so corny and everyone knows it, but it's like. When you like tell yourself like that you can do something and like, you know, you actually really do truly believe in yourself, I really think it goes a long way, you know? And like, I feel like a lot of people are always like, oh, believe in yourself. But like, no, actually do believe in yourself.
Don't just say
know?
it.
Yeah.
Like, believe it. Right.
I know that was really corny. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, the dad joke was kind of corny. Like they crossed the because was kind of corny. But I mean, it was entertaining. It was entertaining. It definitely
you weren't expecting that from me.
Was not.
Yeah.
It definitely passed the entertaining.
Yeah. Okay, good. I got that part. But...
So we'll let you off the hook there.
Okay, great.
And I just want to thank you.
Yeah,
being part of the show.
You.
This was fun. This was exciting.
Fun. Yeah,
I think you gave
this.
some great advice, some advantages to our first time home buyers out there. Yeah. And we'll link up all your information here somewhere, and you know, people will find a way to get a hold of you. Yeah. And anything else you want to say before we end it?
No, just call me.
Call me.
Yeah, and I'm here.
Call me. I'm here.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
Yeah.
That's it. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Advisor Advantage with James Murphy and the lovely Carmen. We hope you had a great show and that we gave you the advantage that you need for the experience that you want. We'll see you on the next show.